Hi, welcome to our latest episode of HDTV. I'm here in Oiji Mi in Manhattan with Chef Brian Kim and Nick Solomon of AvroKO. Thanks so much for having us here today in this beautiful space.
Thank you very much.
Can't wait to tour around. So Chef, this is actually your second outpost. Your original one opened up in the Lower East Side in 2015. How did you want to expand that vision and what did you want to create here?
Well, the original Oiji was located in East Village. East Village is kind of more young and playful town, and the customer base is more younger as well. I really enjoyed operating a restaurant over there, but with the new project, I wanted the restaurant located in more central location in New York City. The Flatiron is wonderful neighborhood, home to a very rich and sophisticated dining scene. So I'm very happy to find a new place here.
And you were born in LA but grew up in Seoul. How does the restaurant pay homage to Korean culture?
I was born here in the US while my parents were studying here. As soon as I was born, my family moved back to Korea and I spent most of my life in Korea. And I only returned to US in my late 20s to attend the culinary school. So all my palate and cooking style is grounded in authentic Korean cuisine. So everything I do here is homage to Korea and my roots.
All right, so tell us, we're in the main dining room. What did you want to create and how did you do that?
So the main dining room was crafted as essentially the center of the house, the heart of the house, right? In the traditional hanok, often a lot of these properties had a courtyard in the middle and everything kind of revolved around that central space. So we designed it as such. At the heart of this room are these 4 Hollywood seating banquettes that look outwards. And it's all anchored by this central column with its beautiful jewelry-like lanterns that hang over the top. The actual structure of the space, so the framing out of the space, it really taps into the hanok. The language of the traditional hanok is very much about expressed timber beams and this sort of grid language. It's also very much about symmetry and a kind of harmony to these pieces, the proportions of them and the way they intersect. So you can see little things like the double beams being connected by these beautiful brass rods. We used actual doorknobs on the end to give it that little sophisticated touch to that. And then intermixed with the beams is a very neutral palette. Again, traditional of the hanok, these kind of neutral colors that kind of sit within the frame. The flooring also pays homage to kind of traditional layouts in Korean homes. So it kind of is this almost radial layout that intersects at the corners. And then you have the 2 runways, the circulation zones by the kitchen and by the seating area with a different pattern in them. So little subtle things that you wouldn't notice until you really see it as a kind of diagram. Again, symmetrical. And then framing out the center is this beautiful textured floor that kind of, again, works as an anchor for the central seating group. The banquettes really frame out the back of the space. And Brian was keen to have kind of a mix of table sizes as well. We wanted to make sure we had lots of 2 tops that could be combined. And then we break down on other sides to create these little nooks and niches with smaller banquettes. Everything is upholstered in either the beautiful soft greens or these rich kind of terracotta with a little bit of plum in there.
This color combination with the green and the red and the wood is actually inspired from very traditional Korean decorative coloring. It's called dancheong. Yeah. So it's like an old traditional house with the wooden structure. They have all this kind of a green and red color combination.
And so initially there was, us really absorbing his vision, really understanding where he wanted to go with this, how far he wanted to take it. He was presenting thoughts about the menu, thoughts about like the kind of vibe he wanted. And ultimately it was really to showcase, an homage to his Korean legacy, but in a very kind of New York way, like it had to be local. It had to also be adapted to the setting. So I think it became a very collaborative partnership. And what you see today, Brian had lot of hand in this, and there's a lot of his signature in this space.
So tell us about these sketches.
When I do the menu R&D, I normally sketch first to list up all the ingredients I want to combine. And also the presentation-wise, it's better to do this to be organized.
For us, the bathrooms are always a pretty magical moment in a restaurant experience for diners. You know, nothing worse than stepping out of a beautiful restaurant into a bathroom. So we love to bring little moments into these spaces. And I think this is just another place to show Brian's kind of personal, involvement.
So tell us a bit too about the lighting, because I know that was very important.
We knew there was the central moment around the column, so we wanted a big feature piece at the center here, something that could hang low over the dining table, give a bit of intimacy to the guests sitting at these Hollywoods, but also bring, a kind of focal point to the center of the room. And then around the perimeter, a lot above the banquettes, we have these beautiful little pendants, basically, that just repeat in a constant rhythm around the room. So both of those, if you look at them closely, have little touches like a kind of knotted fabric or a woven piece, or it's this beautiful kind of expressive curve that cages in the shade. All of that came from a legacy of binyeo, which is the traditional hair pieces or hairpins from Korea. And these are incredibly articulate and crafted pieces. And so we wanted to capture some of that detail and some of that beauty in these fixtures. And if you look carefully at these, for example, we introduced the plum collar again in this kind of weaving-like texture and the big knotted kind of top piece that mimics almost as if it were captured by a piece of rope or hung from a piece of rope. And again, little touches that come from those traditional craft moments.
And the screens too. I love the backdrop with the green coming back in, but in a subtle way.
So the screen was very important because it is essentially the threshold between the omakase, the speakeasy at the back, and the main dining room. So we wanted some kind of light spill, and we wanted some dynamic movement that would give people in the main room a kind of cue that there is something beyond that's happening.
Can you talk about that secret space in the back and what it's going to be?
It's a secret. It's going to be amazing.
So in the back room, we're planning to open as a completely different restaurant. We're gonna share the entrance, but we're gonna name as a different restaurant, complete different concept and different food. So it's gonna be Korean omakase steakhouse. So we have a chef's counter, with the 17 seats. We have the cooking pass in the center, so everyone's watching how we cook.
It's like the speakeasy, right? The very, very high-end, beautiful jewel kind of in the crown speakeasy. But I think that was part of the fun, that there was this other venue that was part of the same family, same kind of design language, but took it to a very different place and level as well.
Now we're at the kitchen, which is partially open to the restaurant, and you can feel the energy. Why was that important to you?
I wanted to show some activities to customers. So this open kitchen is a visually open to all the sittings here. So we wanted to show our professional clean kitchen to customers.
And then the wine room next door too. So it's all marrying the food and the wine and the space in one.
It actually went through many different iterations. At one point it was another part of the kitchen, then it was a display, and then, luckily it became this beautiful wine room, and the lighting in there is just low enough that it doesn't sort of spill out aggressively into the dining room, but it's this beautiful accent for diners when they're sitting in this space to see, this sort of softly glowing room next to the kitchen. And it just ties the two things together. And, people are popping in and out of that throughout service. So it has a nice kind of live quality to it as well. So this is the big entry moment. Guests step into this first zone, the bar zone. It's a very light room. The color here is a little lighter on the banquettes. We have the same wood floor that runs through. We did a few different iterations, but in the end, it was a nice connection into the space. And obviously at the middle of it is this incredible jewel of a bar. We have our green marble that comes in here with this beautiful, thick bullnose edge. The same kind of green appears then again on the dye wall tiles and on the stools. So there's a beautiful, again, layering of that green tone on tone, backed then with these warmer, powdery kind of pinks around the edge. You have this incredible art feature that was custom made. Basically, it's taking that jogakbo tradition, which is patchworking of a cloth, a bojagi cloth, and turning it into an art feature, which then glows softly. It's just a very soft moment to walk into. And I think that was a beautiful thing, that as guests come into the restaurant, there's an instant kind of, this is a very gentle, delicate, soft space. This restaurant has a harmony to it, a kind of relaxing quality, which is there throughout even the most intense part of service. If you're here on a busy night, there's something about this space. Maybe it's the scale, maybe it's the color and the lighting, but it just sort of feels very peaceful, very tranquil.
All the above that seamlessly mix into a beautiful space. So, well, thank you so much for taking us around and showing us what is obviously a labor of love and a lot of your heart and soul. So thank you. It's been a pleasure.